Welcome to this channel where you learn, grow, and evolve every single day. Today, we're diving into a powerful, thought-provoking conversation, one that could truly change the way you think, act, and make decisions for the rest of your life. It's not just about money, it's about perspective. It's about mindset. It's about the silent inner world that shapes everything around you. Today's episode is called Rich Mindset versus Poor Mindset, and this isn't just about the size of your bank account. It's about how you see opportunity, how you respond to failure, how you value time, education, people, and growth. So find a quiet space, settle in. Let your mind open up, let's begin. The foundation, what is a mindset? Before we compare rich and poor mindsets, let's step back and understand what mindset really means. A mindset is simply a set of beliefs. It's the lens through which you see the world. It's how you interpret life. Some people walk into a room and immediately see what's wrong. Others walk in and find what's possible. That difference, that's mindset. You see, money is just one part of the equation. You can hand two people the same amount of money, and one of them will turn it into a fortune, while the other will spend it in a week. That's not luck, that's mindset. And mindsets aren't inherited. They're built slowly from what we read, who we talk to, what we believe about ourselves, and how we handle the challenges life throws our way. The core of a rich mindset. Let's start with the rich mindset. A rich mindset believes in growth. It believes that skills can be learned, that situations can be improved, that problems are puzzles waiting to be solved. A rich mindset sees failure as feedback. It sees time as an asset, not something to be killed. People with a rich mindset don't chase money. They chase value. They ask, how can I make life better for someone else? Because they know that value always flows back. Sometimes not right away, but always eventually. A rich mindset is future-focused. It sacrifices temporary comfort for long-term gain. It saves, it invests, it learns, it builds. The nature of a poor mindset. Now let's look at the poor mindset. A poor mindset believes that life just is the way it is. That success is for others, that rich people are lucky, or greedy, or born with advantages. A poor mindset avoids challenges. It fears failure so much that it stops trying. It values being right over learning something new. It spends to impress rather than to invest. It thinks only about today, not tomorrow, not 5 years from now. People with a poor mindset often see themselves as victims, not because they are, but because they've convinced themselves they have no control. That life is happening to them, not for them. And most dangerously, a poor mindset resists change. Even when things aren't working, it clings to old habits because change requires courage. And courage, well, that's something a poor mindset hasn't practiced. Mindset shapes money, but also so much more. Now here's something we must understand deeply. This conversation isn't just about wealth, it's about your life. Your mindset doesn't just affect how much money you make. It shapes your relationships, your health, your peace of mind. It shapes the way you handle criticism, the way you love, the way you forgive. Someone with a rich mindset builds bridges, collaborates, celebrates others' success. Someone with a poor mindset competes with everyone, feels jealous, keeps score. Time, the rich value it, the poor waste it. Here's one of the biggest differences between the two mindsets: their relationship with time. The rich mindset sees time as the most valuable resource on earth. Because you can always make more money, but you can never make more time. So people with a rich mindset are intentional. They plan, they schedule, they prioritize. They know when to say no, they protect their mornings. They read, they think long term. The poor mindset, on the other hand, treats time carelessly. It wastes hours scrolling, binge watching, complaining. It delays important things. It says someday a lot, but someday never comes. Risk and comfort, the divide between growth and safety. Another striking contrast between rich and poor mindsets lies in their relationship with risk and comfort. Let's be honest, no one likes discomfort. But those with a rich mindset understand that discomfort is necessary for growth. They know that stepping outside their comfort zone is the only way to discover what they're capable of. Whether it's investing in a business, learning a new skill, or starting a side hustle, they take calculated risks. They understand the difference between a gamble and a risk, and they take responsibility for those risks. Now compare that to the poor mindset. The poor mindset seeks comfort first. It avoids risk. It chooses the familiar, even if the familiar is broken. Why? Because the unknown is scary. New challenges are scary. Change is scary. So instead of trying and possibly failing, the poor mindset avoids altogether. But here's the truth: avoiding risk is the biggest risk of all. Because if you never try, you never grow. If you never stretch, you never build resilience. And if you only do what feels good now, you'll pay for it later in regret, in missed opportunity, in unfulfilled potential. Learning, lifelong versus finished. Let's talk about education, not just school, but real ongoing learning. The rich mindset is always learning. Books, podcasts, mentors, mistakes, everything is a source of growth. They ask questions, they listen, they reflect, they learn from those who are ahead of them without letting ego get in the way. They know that formal education can give you a living, but self-education can make you a fortune, not just in money, but in wisdom, awareness, peace, and freedom. Now contrast that with the poor mindset. The poor mindset often believes that learning ends with school. I'm done with school, they say. I don't like reading, I already know that. And that attitude stops growth dead in its tracks. The poor mindset is defensive when corrected. It takes feedback as an insult rather than a gift. It sees other people's success as a threat instead of inspiration. Remember this: those who think they know everything stop learning. And when you stop learning, you stop evolving. Scarcity versus abundance. Now here's one of the most important mindset differences of all: scarcity versus abundance. A poor mindset operates from scarcity. There's not enough money, not enough opportunity, not enough love, not enough time, and when you believe there isn't enough, you start to hoard. You get jealous. You fear others' success. You protect what little you have instead of expanding it. An abundance mindset, the mindset of the rich, says, there's more where that came from. There's more opportunity, more to learn, more to give, more to build, more to create. People with an abundance mindset collaborate. They share, they lift others, because they know that success is not a pie where someone else's slice makes theirs smaller. Success multiplies when shared. Here's the truth: your mindset about abundance will determine how generous you are, how open you are, and how much you trust yourself in life. Blame versus responsibility. Let's talk about one of the most painful but important differences: blame versus responsibility. The poor mindset blames. It blames the economy, the government, their boss, their parents, their past, their partner, luck, timing, anything and everything. And here's the dangerous part: blame feels good. It takes the pressure off, but it also takes your power away. Because if your life is someone else's fault, then you have no control. But the rich mindset, it takes responsibility, even for things that aren't their fault, not because they're guilty, but because they want power, power to change, to act, to grow. Responsibility puts you back in the driver's seat. Let me be clear, life isn't always fair. But blaming won't fix it, ownership will. Short-term pleasure versus long-term vision. Let's dive deeper now into delayed gratification, a hallmark of the rich mindset. The poor mindset lives for today. YOLO, they say, you only live once. And sure, there's some truth to that. Life is short, but the poor mindset takes that idea and uses it as an excuse to spend recklessly. Waste time, avoid planning, and indulge in momentary pleasures that have long-term consequences. The rich mindset, on the other hand, is all about the long game. It's okay skipping a party to build something meaningful. It's okay saying no to something tempting today for something greater tomorrow. The rich mindset invests not just money, but time and energy in things that will grow. A business, a relationship, their health, their knowledge. And that's why, over time, the gap between the two mindsets widens. One sacrifices today for tomorrow. The other sacrifices tomorrow for today. Ego versus humility, the invisible divider. Let's talk about ego, something that silently shapes every decision we make. A poor mindset is often controlled by ego. It says, I already know that. It gets defensive when challenged. It avoids feedback. It sees questions as weakness and correction as insult. And worst of all, it chooses pride over progress. But the rich mindset, it chooses humility. It doesn't need to be the smartest in the room. It wants to learn from the smartest in the room. It listens, it adapts, it evolves. Humility says, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe I can learn from someone else. That simple belief opens the door to transformation. Ego says, I don't need help. Humility says, show me how. And in life, humility always grows faster than ego. Always. Who you surround yourself with. Another powerful element, your circle. A poor mindset surrounds itself with comfort. Familiarity, people who think the same. Complain the same, avoid the same. People who tell you what you want to hear instead of what you need to hear. But a rich mindset builds a circle that challenges them, stretches them, inspires them. People who push boundaries, who celebrate growth, who speak with vision, who hold them accountable. Your circle can either trap you or elevate you. Think about that. Because environment matters, energy matters. The voices you hear every day eventually become your own. The rich mindset says, if I'm the smartest in the room, I'm in the wrong room. The poor mindset says, I like being the big fish in a small pond. But if you stay small to feel big, you'll never grow. How each mindset sees problems. Let's now look at how both mindsets respond to problems. A poor mindset sees problems as stop signs. This is too hard, this always happens to me, I can't catch a break. But the rich mindset sees problems as puzzles, as opportunities to learn, to build resilience, to develop new skills. They ask better questions. What can I learn from this? How can I solve this? What does this teach me? In fact, some of the most successful people in the world look for problems because solving them creates value. And value creates wealth, financial, emotional, and intellectual. So the next time you face a problem, pause and ask, what mindset am I using right now? Giving, scarcity versus overflow. Here's something powerful, how each mindset approaches giving. A poor mindset says, I don't have enough to give. It holds back, it clings to what it has. Not just money, but time, encouragement, love, attention. The rich mindset gives, not recklessly, not carelessly, but from a place of overflow. And here's the twist. The more you give, the more you grow. Not because of karma or magic, but because giving trains your mind to believe in abundance. It reinforces the idea that there's always more to share, more to learn, more to become. And giving is not just about charity. It's about attitude. Do you cheer for others when they win? Do you offer kindness freely? Do you help without keeping score? That's a rich mindset. Legacy versus survival. Let's go even deeper. The poor mindset thinks only about survival. How can I make it through this month? How can I pay the bills? How can I just get by? But the rich mindset thinks about legacy, about impact, about building something that lasts longer than they do. Something meaningful, something that uplifts others. A mindset, a story, a family, a mission. Survival is about today, legacy is about forever. And you don't need millions to build a legacy. You need a purpose, a passion, a vision that outlives you. Peace of mind, a quiet kind of wealth. Let's not forget wealth isn't just money. True wealth includes peace. A rich mindset seeks internal freedom. It works on emotional discipline, on mindfulness, on gratitude. It learns to stay calm in chaos, to respond, not react, to breathe, reflect, and grow. But the poor mindset, it's often caught in cycles of stress, drama, and noise because when you feel powerless, everything feels overwhelming. A rich mindset practices stillness, and from that stillness comes clarity, direction, power. Remember, your external world reflects your internal world. If your mind is chaotic, your life will be too. But if your mind is peaceful, you can handle anything with grace. Gratitude, the hidden power behind wealth. Let's take a moment to talk about something quiet but incredibly powerful: gratitude. A rich mindset doesn't just chase more. It appreciates what it already has. It looks at a glass of water and says, "How lucky I am to have this." It wakes up and says, "Thank you," not out of habit, but out of deep awareness. Why is that important? Because gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. And when you live in a mindset of abundance, you attract more, not just materially, but emotionally and spiritually. The poor mindset, on the other hand, often focuses on what's missing, what they don't have, what others have that they don't. It's hard to feel rich when you're always comparing. But the moment you start noticing the small blessings, a warm meal, a deep breath, someone who cares about you, your energy changes, and energy is everything. Gratitude doesn't mean you stop growing, it means you grow with joy. Failure, defeat, or fuel. Let's now explore how each mindset responds to failure, because this is where true character shows. A poor mindset sees failure as the end. I failed, so I'm not good enough. I tried once and it didn't work. So why bother? It takes failure personally. It gives up early. It avoids new things just to avoid failing again. But the rich mindset, it treats failure like feedback, like a teacher, like a stepping stone. It says, "Okay, that didn't work. What did I learn?" It expects failure and prepares to bounce back. This is why people with rich mindsets often succeed in the long run, not because they never fall, but because they refuse to stay down. They know that failure isn't the opposite of success, it's a part of it. So if you've failed, congratulations. You're on the path, just don't stop there. Consumption versus creation. Let's shift gears and talk about something modern: consumption versus creation. A poor mindset is stuck in endless consumption of social media, entertainment, gossip, junk food. Distractions, it consumes passively, constantly, sometimes without even noticing. It spends hours watching others live, succeed, and grow, but rarely creates anything of its own. A rich mindset prioritizes creation. It creates value, it builds something, a project, an idea, a solution, a message. It doesn't just scroll, it strategizes. It doesn't just watch, it works. Of course, everyone consumes, but the question is, how much of your time is spent consuming versus creating? Even if you're starting small, writing, Speaking, coding, designing, teaching. Building, creating is what moves you forward. Consumption entertains, creation elevates. Language reveals mindset. Now this one's subtle but powerful, the words people use every day. A poor mindset says, I can't afford that. That's just how life is. I'm not lucky like them. I wish I could. Must be nice. These phrases create a story, a limiting one. A rich mindset changes the script. It says, how can I afford that? What can I learn from this? I'm capable of figuring this out. I'm just getting started. If they can do it, I can learn too. Words shape thoughts, thoughts shape beliefs. Beliefs shape actions, actions shape life. Reflection, what story are you living? As we come to the close of this journey, I want to ask you something simple but powerful. What story are you living? Because your mindset is writing that story every single day. Not your bank account, not your background, not your circumstances. Just your mindset. Are you living a story of fear or of faith? Of lack or of learning? Of excuses or of effort? Of survival or of service? You get to choose. That's the beauty of a mindset. It's not fixed. It's flexible, it's trainable, and it's yours to shape. Real life reminder. Remember, some of the world's most successful people started with nothing. No fancy degrees, no generational wealth, no guarantees. But they had something far more powerful, a rich mindset. They believed in learning. They acted without waiting for perfect conditions. They fell and got back up. They made the leap when others hesitated. They stayed humble, hungry, and hopeful. And slowly, quietly, they created their version of success, not just financial, but personal, spiritual, emotional. That kind of mindset is available to you too. Any moment can be the moment. Here's something to carry with you. Any moment can be the moment you shift. You don't need to wait for a new year. You don't need to hit rock bottom. You don't need anyone's permission. Right now, in this moment, you can choose to think richer, to grow instead of shrink, to take ownership instead of blame, to become a creator instead of a consumer, to lead your mind instead of letting it lead you. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you already are when the fear is gone and the mindset is clear. So let this be your takeaway. A rich mindset isn't about money. It's about meaning. It's about movement. It's about becoming the kind of person who creates value wherever they go with words, actions, energy, and intention. Your mindset is the real wealth, and you're already holding the key. Thank you for walking through this journey with me. If this podcast lit something inside you, don't just nod and move on. Take action, start small, start now. And remember, you are one thought away from a richer life. Stay grounded, stay growing. And I'll see you in the next one.